Hello student, this is Mr. Girma, your English teacher from Lucybridge Academy. And last time I told you subscribe and join our channel. I'm very confident that you'll get much more, particularly those who are preparing yourself for this national exam, and then you can be benefited more. Therefore, it is good if you follow. And at the same time, if you do have different types of questions, you can write or jot down under the comment. Really, I can make brief and clear for you. So today we see this a new topic, that is reduced relative clause. Last time you remember that we discussed about this relative pronoun and then their nature, particularly when who is used as an object and object whom again is only used in a place of object, and then it is object basically whom is. And then remember that when the relative pronoun serves as an object, we can omit. And then when the relative pronoun is used in that clause as an object, we don't use again another object in the same clause. This is what you have to remember. Similar to that one, that has connection with that is reduced relative clause. So when we say reduced relative clause, we reduce the relative pronoun and the verb to be based on the voice. Here you have to take it that when it is active, I mean the relative pronoun is active, we reduce the relative pronoun and then we change the main verb to present participle or else ing. But when it is passive, we reduce the relative pronoun together with the verb to be, and then we left with past participle or else verb 3. So let's come to the definition. That means a relative clause formed with a participle and no relative pronoun, we call that one is reduced relative clause. This is what you have to remember. So we use present participle or else past participle. Let's see. For instance, there are two students who are waiting outside. Now, the underlined relative pronoun here, who are waiting outside, is a clause. So we identify whether this clause is active and passive. So who are waiting outside is an active, because the knowledge of passive and active helps you, that means to make true what is reduced relative clauses. So here, who are waiting outside, basically, fortunately, that means, okay, it is ing. That's why we reduce who and are. We reduce who and are here. We reduce this one, and then we left with ing. Come on, the strawberries which are dipped, that means the strawberry which are dipped in chocolate, this is the clause. So this is what type of clause? This is passive. And then we reduced what? Which had been dipped, which had been. And then when we reduce that one, we are left with the main verb dipped. And then this is passive. So we can use, that means reduced relative clause means this one. One thing that I need to tell you, the tense can be whatever. It can be simple present, it can be simple past, it can be simple future. Whatever the tense is, when it is active, we reduce, we omit the relative pronoun, and then we change the main verb to ing. This is what you have to remember. We use present participle in a place of an active verb and past participle in a place of a passive. For instance, here, there were teachers who were shouting and children who were. Here, where is absent? Is who were. Here, it must be included, yes? And then when we omit this one, that means there were teachers shouting and children running. Have you seen? Shouting and running, because this one is active, and fortunately it is ing, that's why. But here we call this one is reduced relative clause. Look another. Debbie only drinks juice that is made from. Now that is reduced. This is passive. That is made from fresh fruit is passive, and then this again is not important. Omitted that one. Therefore, when we reduce that is, we left with what? With made. So to tell you in a very clear way, look here, this example is better. The winner is the person who scored is simple past, who scores is simple present, who will score is simple future. Remember that one is whatever the tense is, when it is active. Now when we say who scored the most point in the game, or who scores the most point in the game, or who will score the most point in the game, as I don't write again and again, that's why I make it for all the tenses. That means it's therefore this one, who scored the most point in the game, is active, and at the same time who scored the most point in the game is active, who will score the most point in the game is active. So if it is active, we reduce the relative pronoun and we change the main verb to ing, and it will become the winner is the person scoring the most point in the game. But if it is passive, that means yes, first prize is for the most pointers. Sorry, here. That means, okay, when there is a, let me show you this one. It must be like this. First prize, the sentence must be written is for the most pointers, which are scored, okay, to make parallel, which are scored which will be scored, and the most pointers which were scored will be scored in the game. This were the sentences. This must be the sentence. Therefore, look, which were scored, which are scored, which will be scored. Which were scored is simple past. Passive, which are scored is present passive. Which will be scored is simple future passive. Therefore, now here, that means when we omit this one, it will be changed. We omit which were, which will be is omitted, and then for present, which are is omitted, and then we left with what we call, okay, this past participle. When it is passive, we do like this. Yes? This is what you have to remember. Fortunately, I mean, when they write, they miss this one, but the answer is this one. Don't forget this. The answer, when it is reduced, it will have, okay, this type of pattern. But the original sentence is this one. First prize is for the most pointers which were scored, which are scored, which will be scored in the games. And then now when we reduce this one, that means, okay, it will have like this. This is about relative, reduced relative clause. So here we do have, but the big thing is that if the relative pronoun, I mean the relative clause is active, we omit the relative pronoun and the main verb is changed to ing. If it is passive, we omit the relative pronoun and then we leave the tenses as it is, that is past participle. For instance here, can you do this one for instance? Yes. A memo is written not which is sent. Here it is which is sent. Which is sent. Now when we reduce which is, we'll left with what? Sent. A memo. Okay, let me make this one is dark. Sent between people who are working is, you bring back to decide this, who are working. Now when we omit who are, and then we are left with working, because who are working is what? That is activist. And then a memo is written, sent between people working in the same organization. It will be like that. It helps you. This reduced relative clause knowledge helps you to tackle this type of tasks. And again, come on here. A dash is an imaginary creature. Mermaid. A mermaid is an imaginary creature, dash the body, yes, which has, for instance, which has the body of a woman, yes. And then now when we omit which has, and then it will be changed to what? Having. And then a mermaid is an imaginary creature having the body of a woman, but a fish's tail instead of legs, it says. And then you can finish like that. Number 3, a dash is a picture. A jigsaw is a picture. Dash is a picture which is printed. Which is printed. Now when we omit which is, we are left with printed, because this is passive. Printed on cardboard or wood and dash into varies, which is cat, yes? And then we left with cat. Which is cat? When we reduce which is, we left with cut into various shapes that have to be fitted together. And then you can do, if you don't have the knowledge of this reduced relative clause, really you face difficulty to fill or else to tackle this type of tasks. And then number 4, I leave for you and then try at your home. But if you are challenged, you can write under comment. I can just make clear or else give you the response or the answer within the next session. So this is what I have about this reduced relative clause. And then please remember, the key point here is that when the relative pronoun is active, we reduce the relative pronoun. Maybe the tense can be simple present tense, present simple past, or else future. Already you have seen that. We reduce the relative pronoun and then we change the main verb to ing when it is active. When it is passive, for all of them, that means the tense is past participle, that is the main verb, and then we reduce the relative pronoun and the verb to be, because most of the time it is verb to be that go with what we call this passive, like were, and if it is present perfect, maybe has, have, and like that. So we reduce that one and then we left with past participle, that means, okay? Therefore, remember this one. This is very important. And then I remember in the previous entrance exam in the past, it was included. Then in different types of this English test or else examination, you may be asked. Therefore, it is good if you do have a knowledge about this reduced relative clause. This is what I have for today. Till we meet next time, have a good time.